Hi, I'm Golhar, and today I'm with Nevsah. Nevsah is a breath expert and has been performing breath miracles globally for over 20 years and has impacted over 10,000 individuals. So, how did your journey into breath begin?
Yeah, so my journey began 20 years ago when I was doing yoga and meditation, and I was already practicing breathing techniques. So I started getting aware that how I breathe affects how I feel, how I breathe affects my thinking habits, how I think, and also it affects my behavior. So I literally realized that if I wanted to change my life, if I wanted to change who I am, if I wanted to feel better, if I wanted to use my full potential in life, I had to work on my breathing habits, because breathing is habitual and many people misunderstand that. It's like many people think breathing can only affect us when we use breathing techniques, but because it's habitual, because it's happening naturally, we need to work on our breathing habits. So we need to work on our habits, on changing our habits if we want to change who we are, if we want to change our thinking habits, and if we want to change how we live our lives.
But how did you learn about breathing? How did you even realize that breathing or breath played such a huge impact in your life? How did you find it?
So it just didn't happen overnight. Okay. It took me a process, because the first time I realized breathing affects my life big time was when I was doing breathing techniques. Because when you use a breathing technique, you can calm yourself down, you can just hyper up, you can just have lots of energy, you can use breathing techniques to concentrate, you can use breathing techniques for lots of different reasons. So I was like, my breathing affects my psychology, and I wanted to know more about it. So I trained myself on breathwork. I went to breathwork seminars, breathwork workshops, and I graduated from the Transformational Breathing School. I became a facilitator, training. Then before that, I got into holotropic breathing. So I studied holotropic breathing, and I went to holotropic breathing workshops. And then the more I went deep into breathing, so I tried rebirthing, and I learned about rebirthing and biodynamic breathing. So there were lots of breathing techniques, breathing systems I tried. Then the more I learned about it, the more I learned about how my breathing affects my psychology. I wanted to go deeper into the background, into the scientific process around it. Then I trained myself on respiratory science and behavioral science, and I started working with a university in Wyoming, and I started working in Istanbul. I started working with psychiatrists and psychologists and behavioral scientists, and then we created a system called breath coaching. It's very much influenced by transformational breathing, breath work, holotropic breathing, and rebirthing, and yet our training is a little different, because we don't only work on the scientific level, but we work a lot on the consciousness and a lot on the spiritual level. So there's a whole philosophy on the background working around the breathing habits.
Basically, you've been impacting children, and you've been different from a young age and just impacting them. But what were the challenges that you've faced personally growing up? So you've built a successful business, but what are the personal challenges as a woman, as a business woman, have you found?
I found not everybody wants to transform. I found out that I use all my gifts to transform people and get them to a higher realization of love and forgiveness. So it's like I can just, it's like in my journey about myself, I have no limits. I mean, my experience with myself has been always like that. So it's like to transform you or to trigger the points you've been running away from yourself, I can use all my abilities. I can just cry in front of you, I can get mad, I can just push you back, pull you forward, whatever. It's like being a human is such a gift. And I had the privilege to be able to use all my gifts where full potential to do whatever I need to do, where people are not like that. So most people are limiting themselves, they get intimidated with feelings. It's like when you show your feelings, when it's out there, people get intimidated and people get a little, and more, and it's like many people are not aware of the fact that you are only watching yourself in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, wherever you look at, you just see yourself. So me being a transformative tool and transforming everyone, I was the one who was transforming my whole life. So I'm literally living in transformation where many people are not like that. So when I bring that transformative energy, if you're a person who don't want to be transformed, if you're a person who don't want to see what you can't see, and if you're a person who wants to go on with your judgments about yourself in the ego consciousness, this and that, it's like you're gonna see everything you judge in a human being in me, because I'm willing to transform that and I'm willing to mirror that to you. So my challenge was, even if I knew it, my challenge was, it's like if you're the biggest mirror holding the space for people, getting face to face, unaware people look at you and they think it's you who is the bad, but it's like it's their eyes, you know, who sees it. So it's like there has been lots of blaming, lots of judgment, lots of this, lots of that, and I'm like, I'm a fully 100% free person, and I'm always beyond your judgment.
So what other kind of, like, so breath obviously like cures over 30 types of illnesses plus that you told me. So what kind of illnesses are there? So there's anxiety, depression.
It's like dysfunctional breathing habits are the reason for more than 200 sicknesses.
200. Wow.
Sicknesses. There are lots of symptoms. And yet, as I told you, it's like for total healing, you need that healed consciousness. Like I've done lots of things. I've done lots of dangerous things. I have had crazy, limiting, dysfunctional behaviors. And yet, because of the consciousness level I was in, I could never get sick. Ever. It's like I don't remember a time I was sick. And sickness is a level in the consciousness. So people who have some sicknesses have chosen a sick consciousness. And even if it's once in your lifetime, you're going to be initiated in that energy. Like I'm a person who never ever chose that sickness ever. Like I don't remember, you know, like, I mean, whatever sickness is, like cancer, you know, like I don't remember even one time in my life getting in that presence of energy, energy. So that's what's making the difference. It's like it's like in healing work, I'm trying to tell that to people. It doesn't have to be me. It's like, I don't want to sound like you have to come to my seminar, but it's like, if you are interested in healing, in a healing process, if you want the best of it, you have to find the people who are already healed. You don't go to somebody's seminar who was sick and then healed herself. It's like cancer and then heal yourself. It's like she already got into that sickness, ego consciousness, and then got into the miracle consciousness. Okay, she got healed. But it's like there are people who never ever got into that sickness, ever. They are the healed. They are the chosen ones. They are the not chosen, but it's like they are the healing energy itself. Like we have to chase for those people. You don't go after people who have problems. You have to chase people who doesn't have any problems materially, physically, you know, to get well.
So do you personally find any challenges when you were going into breath work and obviously like growing up and it not being the norm? Like, did you find that a challenging
the challenge was actually, I mean, it's like how I see it is, once a person is connected with who she is or he is in the deeper level, nothing can stop her. It's like what I experienced was that it's like there were people, saying, you studied architecture, how come you're doing breath work now? Why? My mom, my dad, my relatives, what's this breath work? Nobody knew about it. Like in Turkey, nobody even knew about yoga and meditation. I'm talking about like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And breath coaching, everything started with me. So nobody even knew about it. So imagine there's a whole country nobody even knows about, and there's this woman talking about the importance of breath and breath coaching. Of course, it was a bit silly in the beginning.
Yeah.
But was it a challenge for me? No, it wasn't a challenge for me, because I was deeply connected with who I was, and I was just expressing myself like I do now, and nothing could stop me. Like still, it's like, nobody, if you're connected with your mission and your gift, nothing can stop you. It's that, and my challenge was, I think it's the challenge of every person, every limitless person. It's like, if you're a person who is free, and if you're a person who doesn't depend on people's ideas, and if you're a person who doesn't care about what people think, what they do, but you're doing your thing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 100%, then what the biggest challenge will always be rumors and judgments and people who can't do that. So it's like, over the years, my biggest challenge was, because I was going non-stop 100%, and like maybe with
100 miles per hour.
maybe more, 100 miles per hour, and maybe more, the other people who were limiting themselves and who were not yet there, like who did not have that power and freedom, but that's their choice. I mean, they can, but they don't let themselves be, creates all kinds of rumors and judgments and this and that. And over the years, it's like, when you go with 100 miles an hour, it's like you don't have time to just look back and just check what people are saying. It's like, who cares?
Well,
you just go. So, but the challenge was, my breath coaches or my breath family, there were people getting affected by that because they were not like me.
Yeah.
And that was a big challenge, because it's like, if it's an outsider and there are rumors and this, but it's like, if it's in the family, somebody in the breath coaching federation, in the breath coaching family who got into that, and they're also stopping themselves, you feel a little bit sad, and I'm like, what to do? And you just have to let it go. Yeah.
Wow, so 20 years ago you started this in Turkey, and now I guess is it accepted? And
it's a legal job now in Turkey.
Wow, that's
we did it. Like, we've been working hard on that. We've been working with the government for the past 2 years.
Okay.
And now it's legal, it has its standards, because I don't know if it's like that over here, but it's like in Turkey, when something gets to be popular, everybody says that they're doing the same thing even though they're not.
Yeah.
It's like people who were just teaching breathing techniques, not working on dysfunctional breathing habits, who had no idea about behavioral science or respiration or, our trainings, were also calling themselves breath coaches. So that was like a big challenge for every breath coach, because imagine a breath coach getting a training for years after years after years, and then somebody read a technique in a book and then just goes out there in social media, telling people I'm a breath coach and just teaching breathing techniques, and you're like,
no,
they can't do that, and because I was the one who brought the system and created the whole thing, president of the Breath Coaching Federation, I was always feeling responsible. I have to do something about it.
So if any of you guys would love to come along and get rid of any symptoms or illnesses that you might be having, why not try breathing? You pick up dysfunctional breathing when I guess you're a very young child, or even maybe before. So,
and like, there is much more to breathing and consciousness work, so I can only tell, like, miracles happen.
And there's testimonials on your website as well, aren't there? So you can even have a look and see some of the miracle stories that have occurred. Can you?
It's on my name.
Okay.
On my website, www.nevsah.com, nevsah.com.
Nevsah also is an international best-selling author, so you can also purchase her books on Amazon.com or from her website directly.
Thank you, Em.
Thank you, Nevsah.